Hey man, yeah, so I just read your book. To be honest, I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Where are you located?
So I am in Wales in the UK, South Wales.
South Wales.
Yeah, near Cardiff.
Yeah, we played there with Motorhead
Did you?
in 1983.
I know. That must have been quite an event.
It was quite fun. Thank you. Yeah, it was. That was the only time I've no, we were in Butlin's holiday camp. You know
Oh
where
yes,
Butlin's is? Yeah, we played Butlin's in I forgot what town that was in, but we played Butlin's as well.
yeah, that's impressive. I mean, so as a keynote speaker myself, right? Reading your book is actually inspired me. It's very useful. Actually, your experiences, like,
Yeah.
it impressed me how just starting off like selling cookies and then went on to doing drugs. I've learned so much from that. Like,
Yeah, it's an unusual story. That's true. And I'm very lucky that I was able to survive a very tough time,
yeah,
a really, 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 really tough time. I was very, very lucky. But a lot of my friends were not that lucky and were not able to survive.
yeah, yeah. That's a shame. I mean, especially from like from drugs. I mean, it's very difficult to get from there, isn't it? I mean, to stay away from that lifestyle. Like,
Yeah. I'm asked all the time, how did I do that? And I don't have an answer. I really don't have an answer that makes any sense other than my own sense of self-preservation
yeah,
kind of took over, and I realized that I had been dancing too close to the flame, if you know what I mean. Like
yeah, yeah,
I got it got too dangerous, and you know, most people who go down that that pathway um, do not come back from it, or they come back from it after a long, hard slog. And I came back from it, and I'm very grateful. But response to coming back from it was
yeah.
extreme. I really just rejected it completely, and then became anti it, and as a self-preservation move. So that's just my response to it.
Also, it's necessary for a sort of just for success, isn't it? I mean, to be in a band, you need to be like focused and friends, and that is like a distraction, isn't it? There's a distraction from that success. Like,
Well, as you read the book and you saw the stories of the band members who came and went,
yeah,
they all brought with them a lot of crazy baggage, and having to negotiate my way through that baggage became the real issue. It became very hard to do that, you know. Um,
yeah,
uh, so much of it was overwhelming to me at the time. So it was a learning process, not none of which I originally thought was going to be how my life would play itself out. I
yeah.
just wanted to be a guitar player, in a band.
And that's what I find so impressive was the fact that it was all for a reason. You started doing drugs to buy a guitar. I mean, that's passion for you, that is.
Yeah, that was really it. Oh, I just wanted to play the guitar in a band. I didn't know I would have to put up with all the nonsense that I put up with.
Yeah,
And you kind of adapt to the crises, life's challenges, as you know,
yeah. Oh, yeah,
as
absolutely.
life presents the challenges, you have to face each one.
That's maybe that's why we have to sort of stay positive, isn't it? I mean, despite the life challenges, we are alive and we have to be grateful for that fact. And you enjoy and appreciate each and every day, don't you?
Yeah, and uh, it- it- because I survived prostate cancer
Yes, that
and
must
two
have been a
heart
challenge.
operations. Yeah, and the two heart operations. I had really bad heart problems, and they really bad heart problems, like very distressing heart problems,
Scary.
and it was very scary. And I was so distraught over them that I couldn't live with. I was so physically sick. I kind of thought to myself, well, hell, I'm better off, not being here. And I literally went for a run to in the park, and with a note saying, if you find my body, here's
Yeah.
my girlfriend's phone number. And for some crazy reason, the symptoms that led me to this decision stopped. So, I mean, you know, there's all these cliches in the world about, what you need is your health and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
The heart problem was solved. The prostate cancer was prostate cancer, so
Yeah.
I had to, I had to, I had to deal with that,
And that's the thing. You've survived it. You made it through it. So that's an example to one of us. I mean, me with my condition. Obviously, I'm going to ventilate it, and so my body doesn't work. But I've always found a way, just like yourself, to get through. We've experienced these dark times in our lives, but me and you are proven facts that you can survive these things no matter how negative it is.
yeah. And you can talk, which is good.
Yeah,
You verbal. A lot of people lose the ability to even talk.
and that's bad. Yeah, and to me,
And
that would be very difficult.
yeah, at that point it's difficult, but you can communicate, which is very good. What why were you a fan of the band, and that's why you bought the book? How did you find out about that?
Yeah, I started this documentary that I'm making currently about metal as a community and just the positivity that has given me personally. The bands like Twisted Sister, Waterhead, the 80s basically, is my favorite time in music. Right? I love Metallica, I love Slayer, I love the hair metal period, the Motley Crue, the Twisted Sister, and that to me inspires me the most. So this is why I wanted to message you. And then obviously you sent me a book, and me being a keynote speaker myself, obviously I was inspired by that because I've learned a few things through reading your book.
Did you ever see any of the bands that you love in person?
And well, I wish I had seen Twisted Sister. I've been to Donegal a few times. I've seen Metallica about 5 times, Slayer
Okay.
4 times, Megadeth twice. So
Wow.
yeah, I am a big music festival and concert goer. Like,
Yeah. So how bad did the lockdown mean for you? Did you
oh
have to be
yeah,
very careful with everything?
well, obviously, right? And the way I saw it is that because I'm bound to carers and stuff, and I am always got the finances to go out and about, then I've been in lockdown a very long time. So to me, it was no different. And the lockdown for me was actually a blessing because it gave me a platform to speak to people, to spread my positivity, just to say, look, I can get through this, then so can you. And obviously, coronavirus is a threat. It's scary to all of us. But to me, I deal with a condition that can kill me at any point. So to me, I have perspective on these things. So I didn't fear it. I kept myself safe, but I used it as an opportunity to inspire other people, to teach them how I deal with things.
Did you take your vaccinations?
Yes, I've had my two and my booster. I mean,
Right.
obviously, I had to really keep myself
Yeah.
safe, like, but
Yeah.
yeah, really, I used lockdown as an opportunity to start writing, to get my word and to get my message across, like,
How many people watch your podcast or listen to you?
Yeah, that's really true. I mean, obviously, my family and friends watch him, and I am reaching a wide audience at the moment. I mean, I've only really started my career, but just before lockdown, I started keynote speaking. But so I done two speaking events, and then obviously coronavirus hit. So all my work got taken off me, which was very unfortunate. But then when the coronavirus hit, I started writing a diary, right, on Facebook, an isolation diary about my life. And from that, a documentary was made of my life. And
Wow.
then, in doing that documentary, I went to visit a rock star called Veggie Web, uh, from a band called Skindred. But anyway, I spoke to him at his house. And the whole focus of that was because Veggie's a black fella, and the Black Rights Matter movement, and things like that, we got speaking. And that was an important part of the documentary. But he said to me, why don't you message a few of the other bands and get your message across that way? Since metal is such a passion to you. So this is how I started this. So then I messaged a few bands to include in yourself, like, and this is where I'm going with my career, I think.
Who takes you to the shows?
So I have a team of carers. So the money is given to me by social services here. And so they give me the money directly so that I can pay my own team of carers. Yeah, which obviously it gives me freedom, it gives me choice and control over my life. Like,
How old are you?
me, I'm 34.
34.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am in my younger days, but like reading your book and stuff like that, meeting other inspiring people, so I've inspired myself to know, even though things are bad, they can be a lot worse. And I enjoy my life, I really do. And music in general is what keeps me going through my day.
Yeah. Well, music is very important. It's very, very, very important. I mean, I listen to music all the time, but I listen to blues music most of the time.
And blues has emotion, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. And been a blues fan and a big Beatles fan. You know, I write for a magazine. I write Beatles stories for a magazine
as a
called,
friend, did you ever meet any of them?
no, I never did.
I really that'd
No,
be awesome.
came very close, but no, never
Yeah.
met them. I don't even know what I'd say. They've been asked every question in the world. What are you gonna ask? What are you gonna ask them? You know,
Yeah, you got a
that
point.
they haven't answered, you know, at to this point.
But it's amazing to me to see people like yourself inspired by them, It's incredible because I'm inspired by you a lot, and, for you to say that about the Beatles is great, right? Because you feel the same as I do.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not a I don't really need to meet famous people or many years ago I thought that it mattered a lot to me, but my family matters more to me.
Yes.
I was just in England last week,
Oh
as a matter
yeah.
of fact, visiting my grandchildren.
Oh, well, they live over here then.
Yeah, my daughter's British.
Oh, just good in a family is very, very important. I mean, I don't remember you, but I lost my brother in 2017, and he was like, well, he was like a life insurance to me. So he had the same condition as me. He understood me, better than most people did. And yeah, that's how I know family is so important because I mean, I miss him every day.
So this condition that you
Yes.
have, what exactly is this?
Right, so it's a muscle wasting condition, right? Called muscular dystrophy. The muscular dystrophy is quite a common muscle wasting condition. But I have the advanced form, So mine is Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So basically, it is fatal. I mean, my brother died to it, and so can I. But fortunately, my heart is very healthy. So my heart is strong, even though I need a ventilator. So my heart is, well, very strong. And you know yourself how important your heart is. So when you got a strong heart with a muscle wasting condition, it is very important. So that's what really keeps me so healthy.
That's that. So the lifespan of someone with the condition you have is usually what?
Well, during in the 80s when I was born in 1987, children were dying at 13 years old. But as time has moved on and technology has improved,
Yeah.
and our lifespan is very well. It's very positive now. I know people in their 50s now.
Yeah. So you benefit by continuing medical advances,
Yes, that's right.
correct? So
Yeah,
it's come a long way in the last 10 years. Yes.
absolutely. Since the 80s, they didn't have ventilators like I use.
Yeah.
And advancements like that, I mean, yeah, that I stay healthy and alive. Like,
And the ventilator is what allows you to continue breathing. Is that
so
right?
basically, right, I can breathe, but because of muscle weakness, my intercostal muscles don't work so well. So the ventilator gives me air pressure rather than oxygen. So it assists my breathing rather than helps me breathe. So I can breathe myself, it just helps me.
And when you communicate, um, your arms are you can't use. Is that true? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So
how?
basically, if you look at me, I
Yeah.
drive my chair with the use of my thumb. See,
Okay.
my hands don't work, but my thumb does. And so with my computer, I use a device called the head tracker. So
Yeah.
it tracks my head movements and it places the mouse where my head is. So this is how I can write emails and so on.
I see. And do you communicate with a lot of people? A lot?
Yes, yes, yeah. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
as a motivational speaker, so
Yeah.
I try to speak to as many people as I can.
It's
And
it's it's isn't it satisfying to do motivational speaking?
absolutely, yeah, people listen to you. And so I never thought people would listen to me, but they actually listen to me. Like,
You're inspirational, Rhys.
thank you. It's right, so I mean, you guys, like I said, listening to your music helps me get through the day. Because I'm here because I enjoy the next album, the next record, to the next new artist even.
Tell me, what is your favorite album of mine?
Uh, well, I like the first ever Twisted Sister album. I forget the title, but the tracks in it.
What, under the blade? That was
Yes, that's right, the first ever one. I mean,
so we played all those songs in at Wrexham in
yeah,
Wales.
it's very rebellious. That's what I like about it. The little fuck you mentality. That's really cool. Like,
Did you've seen Motorhead?
yes, I saw them. I saw this year. Just before Lemmy died.
Yeah.
Now, he would have been amazing to interview. Just
Yeah.
Motorhead, a massive influence in my life.
It was very sad when he passed away. You
Yeah,
know.
and I noticed lots of guys, even like Rob Halford was talking about him at his funeral. And Dave Grohl, and all those guys were inspired by him.
Yeah. So yeah, Rod, do you watch do you listen to my podcasts at all?
Oh, you got a podcast? No, absolutely will listen to it.
Oh, you never listened to my
No, no,
podcast.
I will. I mean,
Yeah.
after reading your book, to me, I enjoyed the story, and you liked it. It's funny, yeah, you're humorous, like, especially when
Well,
you have that acid trip in the bathroom. I thought
yeah.
that was just there, just like,
you're the only person that's ever brought that one up in particular in an interview.
It was funny, right?
Yeah, that was a scary time. That day that I did that scared the crap out of me.
I bet.
Whew, man, I thought I was losing my mind. I really wanted to go to I thought I wanted to go to a mental hospital because I was losing my mind, and my parents, they looked like big pigs, like giant hogs. And I said, how can I ask the pigs to take me to a mental hospital?
To the moment, like your parents were so supportive of you, like my parents, and I resonated with that. Like, everything you did, your mother was so supportive of you.
Yeah, my mom was an interesting lady. I mean, she was horrified at my drug use. But when I told her I'm going to stop doing drugs, but I'm going to become a transvestite in a rock band, I don't know what she thought was worse. Like, oh my God, you know, she was kind of mystified because listen, the music
Yeah,
business is a hard business,
I
right?
know. By reading that, I can tell. I mean, so many stereotypes, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah, it's a very, very, very tough business for sure.
I mean, I'm trying at the moment, so I've got a metal band myself. With all disabled metal band, we are finding it very difficult to get around the stereotypes of disability. So to get musicians who actually want to play with us,
Right.
who take us seriously, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I can imagine how I imagine, and it's hard enough to do it when you don't have those problems. And
Yes, right.
people take for granted that they're physically okay and they do stupid things, and then if they only understood the challenges that people had, they wouldn't be so stupid.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a lot of people can live in that situation like that. That's why I'm a motivational speaker, I believe. I generally have a feeling that I've helped these people that I speak to. And that's an incredible, amazing feeling.
Yeah. When you can help somebody, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I keep doing what I'm doing. So, I want this big picture around in my situation to say, look, you can grow up, you can have relationships, you can move to another place. You can be in a metal band, you can be a motivational speaker, that sort of thing. To show that nothing's impossible, really. We can achieve anything we set our minds to.
Let me ask you a question. At
Yeah.
night when you sleep, do you sleep in a bed or do you lie back on your chair? How do you sleep?
Yes, I sleep in a bed, yes. So I have a
Okay.
carer with me overnight. Basically keeps an eye on me, repositions me if I need to move, or my ventilator needs to move right.
Right. And how often, under normal circumstances, do you go
Yeah,
out every day?
I try my best. I mean, when I've got the care stuff, absolutely, but you get into this where a carer finishes, you have to train their staff, do all that sort of thing. They delay my life, sort of. But, everything I do is for the reason, And when I train my staff, I know it's a means to an end. I know once they train them, we have to work friends again.
Your subject, the weather over there is not great,
No, exactly.
so in the summertime it's easier to go out than it is to get all dressed up, right?
Yeah,
And go.
absolutely. Because for me, I mean, my hands get very cold.
Yeah.
And when my hands get cold, I can't play my chest so well. So,
Right.
yes, winter is very restrictive. But yeah, the
So
summertime I thrive.
what question would you like to ask me? Any particular questions?
I mean, I like the metal community and stuff. Sure, back to your question, maybe about music. What does music mean to you?
What does music mean to me?
Yes.
Well, um, let me ask you,
Yeah.
what was the earliest memory you have of listening to some band or artist or musician that you said, oh my God, that's amazing? What is your earliest memory?
well, my earliest memory would be sitting in my grandfather's car listening to the Carpenters. I mean, Karen had an amazing voice, you know? And so I read that greatest hit CD from cover to cover. You know, I read every word. And I played it so much, I broke the CD. Karen Carpenter.
The
Yeah,
Carpenters.
yes, yes.
The Carpenters was the first CD that you heard
Yeah,
that you went, oh my God, I love this.
yeah, it's the greatest hit CD. And
Okay.
yeah, I played it repeatedly. I broke the album, actually. Yeah. So I read every
Yeah.
song.
Well, Karen Carpenter was a phenomenal singer.
Yes, incredible.
So, I tell the story in my book of the first record that did it for me, and it was this silly little pop song on the radio called Hey Paula. And I don't know what it did, but when I hear that song, I immediately become 11 years old again,
Yeah,
like I did when I heard the radio. So does that happen to you? Do you hear the
yeah,
Carpenters and you immediately go
absolutely.
back to when you first listened to the radio?
Yeah, I
Do you
do
ever?
remember straight away, you know, and so my earliest memory isn't metal, you know, which is very surprising, you know, and yeah, like yourself, you know, I sort of, well, you sort of made metal your profession, didn't you?
Uh, oh, you mean what made me a metal? What put
Yeah,
me into that world?
yeah,
Well, that was an evolutionary world. When I was 16, um, you could go to a theater in New York City called the Fillmore East, which I write about in the book,
yeah,
and you could see every artist you ever want to see for $3 or $4. So where you could see Led Zeppelin or Jimi Hendrix or Jeff Beck or the Grateful Dead or the Jefferson Airplane
yeah,
or Janis Joplin or the Who, Crosby, Stills and Nash. You could just go see them every week because they came to New York every week, and you could just go there, and it's $3. It was $3 for a ticket. So when it's $3 for a ticket, they do 4 shows a weekend. You could see them 2 or 3 times a weekend. And then during the week, they played in Central Park in the summertime. There was an outdoor theater in Central Park called the Schaefer Music Festival. And for $1, you could see the same band. So you can imagine
yeah,
seeing
great
Jimi
time.
Hendrix or Led Zeppelin for $1,
Yeah, that's
right?
incredible.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing. And because I had that growing up, I had so much of it growing up that you become spoiled because you had it
yeah,
all the time. I mean, when the Rolling Stones played New York City in 1969, the tickets were $6.50.
that's mental.
But I'm sure if you look back at the Beatles playing at the Odeon theaters around the country,
Yeah,
the tickets were like £3 or something like that.
that's what committed out.
Well, they used shillings in those days, right? They used all the
Yeah,
fancy British. So I had the benefit of being able to see these artists, and so I had the benefit of it energizing my soul and making
influences.
me want
Yeah,
to be a musician. So I would go see these shows, and then I would come home at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd pick up my guitar and I'd stand in front of the mirror and I'd pretend that I
yeah,
was Jimi Hendrix or Jerry Garcia or Dwayne Allman or Jeff Beck or Jimmy Page, whatever. I would just pretend I was those guys, and uh, that took me very far. But what really changed it was David Bowie
yeah,
and Ziggy Stardust. And that album changed it, because when I saw Mick Ronson, the guitar player, when I saw what he looked like, I went, oh my God, I want to be that guy. And I cut my hair off and I dyed it blonde. And then, in those days, American bands, metal bands use these Marshall amplifiers, these big black
yeah, the massive
boxes,
things.
the
Yeah,
big massive
yeah,
Marshalls. In those days, people weren't doing that. They were using Fenders or half Marshalls, and no one built these walls.
no,
So when Mick Ronson was, Jimmy Page used Marshall half stacks. Mick Ronson used things called a Sims Watt. Pete
yeah,
Townshend used high watts, which were stacks. So I think what happened was you start fixating on the dream of setting up a stage with all these big
Yeah,
amplifiers,
yeah,
and looking, you're trying to look impressive, by having all this stuff there.
yeah,
So that was the beginning. But when Twisted Sister started, we were playing in small clubs. And so we used small amplifiers, and we were playing a lot of weird songs. I mean,
yeah,
songs by Mott the Hoople. I don't know if you're a fan
yeah,
of
yeah. Right.
Mott. Yeah. So we played, we played Mott the Hoople songs. We played, oh God, hold on one second. Hang on. We played Mott the Hoople songs. We played Lou Reed songs.
Yeah,
We played all this kind of stuff, and T-Rex. You're familiar
yeah. See,
with
my
T-Rex,
product.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So we played T-Rex songs, and we kind of evolved through that, that glam period. And
yeah.
we
I
played
see.
some Rolling Stone. We played some Rolling Stones. We played some Alice Cooper. But it wasn't until D joined that D really kind of brought the heaviness into the band, and
Yeah,
and
his
made me
voice.
aware. Yeah, he made me aware. First of all, D sang Led Zeppelin really great, like
Yeah,
really, really, really good. And we hired D because he could sing Led Zeppelin.
yeah. I
And
see.
my agent said you have to hire him because you need to be able to play Led Zeppelin if you want to get better in the clubs.
Yeah,
So we
his
played Led
voice.
Zeppelin
His voice is
songs.
iconic. So, yeah, he has a
Yeah,
powerhouse voice. Like,
yeah. So we were able to play Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, and then when Judas Priest came in
yeah.
around
Small powerful.
78,
Yeah,
Judas Priest and AC/DC together
yeah.
had
Amazing
a
voices, mate.
had a very big impact. So that's how that all kind of changed,
Yeah, you see what
And
you mean.
so we developed the stage sound and built the band up and built the band up and built the band up. But me, I'm not necessarily a metal guy. I mean, I like it and we play it,
Yeah,
and D writes great songs. I mean, he's a phenomenal songwriter. But in my soul, I'm a blues guitar player. So
yeah.
I listen to B.B. King or Albert King. Do you listen to any of that stuff at all?
Yeah, it's true because without them songs, anything metal would exist. And I like blues because of the emotion that's involved. You can really feel the emotion when you listen to something like BB King. And Richard and things like that, that so those guys pioneered, didn't they? So they started the sound of was metal as well. Because all them songs contributed to it, didn't it?
Did you ever hear Muddy Waters sing?
Yes, it did. So he had a
So
cracking voice, didn't he?
I went to see Muddy Waters one night at a little club in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and the club was packed and there was no seats. And the guy who owned the club told me to sit on Muddy Waters amplifier.
Yeah, yeah,
So I got to sit on his amp, and he was great. And so I had all those great experiences, and those experiences fueled me
yeah, the
into
average
what.
you as a musician, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of, that was the motivation behind it. But again, I didn't join a band to manage a band. I didn't join a band to figure out any business. I just joined a band
Yeah,
to play
yeah,
in a
for
band.
music,
That was
right?
it.
Managing a band is very difficult, isn't it?
Completely different.
Yeah,
It's like very different skill sets, and I used to practice hours every day, and then I stopped practicing and started spending time managing, and that's the problem.
yeah, I think.
Problem is you take the focus away from one, you put it in another space. So I started, there's so many guitar players that are fantastic, and I'm not a fantastic guitar player. I'm a good player. I'm okay. I can get by, but I'm not a great player. And it was a decision I made a long time ago.
Yeah. So you decided to just manage there, or
Well, I mean, right now I just handle the business of Twisted Sister, and that's all I do.
yeah,
Is handle the band's business.
yeah, which is kind of good. I mean, I suppose Yeah, Twisted Sister will always be in your life, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 49 years of it.
Yes, man. I mean, yeah, my band, when I brought them together, it became like a family to me. Like, really say Twisted Sister was like a family to you?
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. It does. It's been, listen, it's like I'm married.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
married to the band.
Yeah,
I've been with it for so long. So yeah.
yes, man. I mean, I'd like to meet these like that as well one day, like, because, he's as positive as you, I believe. Whenever I ever see him on TV and stuff, he's always been inspirational, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a very smart guy, very creative guy, very motivated guy, for sure.
This is why I like, well, metal and music in general, because such a creative space, isn't it? Yeah, we can really be ourselves.
Yeah, but you are a consumer. So when you hear stories like Motley Crue stories and all
Yeah.
that, does that impress you, or do you think they're stupid? Like, do you think bands that get wasted and all that stuff are cool, or do you think that it's not cool? I'm just kind of curious how you
Yeah,
do.
there was a point in my life when I did think it's cool, right? But then I've had some bad experiences with alcohol. I mean, I've been abused several times because of alcohol. I was in a relationship with a woman who was a severe alcoholic. So she tried to hurt me a few times. You know, in my head, I think, nah, I don't want to participate in that sort of thing. And do I feel in a creative space, those things hinder progress? To alcoholism and drug abuse. I don't know, it seems that such a negative cloud, isn't it? Over the creative space that's music, right?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you: did you ever drink alcohol?
Yes, I did. When I was in university, to me, I don't know, it just doesn't do anything great. I mean, I find, right, when my brother died, right, I stopped drinking because drinking would take me to such a dark place, to a really dark, negative, messy place. And you think, you know what, I'd rather be sober. I mean, to me, right, I have not much control over my life, really. Over my body that doesn't work, you know? So if you drink alcohol, I don't really want to lose control that much, if you know what I mean. I like, I like the control over the little things I have.
Yeah. Well, I happen to understand that, and I completely understand the. I don't understand why people, when you have problems in your life and you add that, it's another problem,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's another layer of another problem. And if you're already dealing with a problem, do you need to deal with another layer on top of another layer on top of another layer? So
Exactly.
drugs, alcohol, they create more. Plus, I assume that you do take medications every day. Is that true?
Yeah, I do some medications, right? But you know what? After my mother died, I became a sex addict, right? So I understand the addiction, right? And the reason I became a sex addict was because, well, I could drink, I could smoke, I could take drugs, and so that was my addiction. And so I must say, I worked on myself very hard. I had counseling, and I got out to that hole. And this is why I became a motivational speaker. Because my brother died, I got into addiction, and I thought, right, that's it. I need to clean my life up. So I need to be all right again. And
Yeah.
that's really what I did.
Well, you sound like you're a rock and roll musician.
Yeah,
So, do you like guitars, drums, bass? Like, what would you play? Did you ever fantasize about that?
guitar, I think everybody, you know. So
Okay.
I like Randy Rhoads. So I like Zach Wild, you know. And that type of guitar I like. There's that aggressive sound. And they're so clever with it, you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to be a guitarist personally. But so I'm a backing singer, I am. But only because I can't carry the vocals all on my own. I need a rest now and then. So when I started, there's two singers. So there's me and a singer named Sky. And she's the main singer, but I sing with her. I mean, singing with a ventilator, right? That
Yeah.
was a challenge in itself.
Yeah. I would say, do you have friends you see every day? Do you have
Yes,
people you
yes.
see all the time?
Yeah, they are my band, basically. So we practice
Do you have
every
to wear
Sunday.
you have to wear masks?
I think it's like with a basketball, actually. But I'm usually okay. I mean, obviously at the beginning of the pandemic, really, we all had to wear them, but now it's just calmed down a little bit, right? And it's nice to have some sort of sense of normality. Like,
Do you have you traveled much?
yes, as a youngster, I've been to where have I been to America about 8 times. California, I've been to. Vegas, I've been to. South Africa, New Zealand. Yeah, in my younger days, I traveled with my parents quite a bit. So I have seen the world, right?
And who do you travel with when you travel?
Well, I did just travel with my parents, but I can't go so much now. I mean, things
Right.
have changed in the sense of you don't need care money for the start, and you need a carer who's free from responsibility in a certain sense. And it's hard to find that, isn't it? People have families now and children and things, and it's hard to find somebody who doesn't have that, you know?
Yeah. So you try not to be limited by your situation. Is
Yeah,
the
I try
important
my
thing.
best. Like, obviously, I am limited to my situation sometimes, but defiance is my key. I think. So this is why I like Mr. Sister. It's exactly that. It's the defiance streak. Just it's like fuck you, hell no, you know. So I would give up regardless of anything else.
Yeah, you don't ever give up, man.
That's true. And your story says that as well, you know. So I respect that. I really do.
Thank you. So listen, I have time for one more question from you.
Yeah.
So ask me whatever question you want. So what is it?
I really know. I mean, have you met any of the other metal guys? Like Metallica, like, have you
Well,
ever met them?
we toured with them.
I mean, they would be a band I would be amazed to meet. Yeah, I
Well,
tried to get in touch with them, but
in 1982, Metallica came to New York City and
yeah,
opened for us in a club. So
that's
we
bad.
saw them there. And then in 1983, we toured in Europe with Metallica.
That
And
must be awesome.
Metallica and Motorhead and us, and a couple of other bands. So we did about 8 shows with
That's
Metallica,
bad.
and they were a great band. You know,
Yeah, I'd love to
they
meet
were
them.
great.
And James, I would love to meet them.
Yeah, I mean they were really nice guys, and we toured with Iron Maiden for 5 months,
Maybe, yeah, I spoke to them.
and they're great guys. You
Yeah, they
know,
are, they are.
they're super great guys. The drummer Nico was good friends with AJ.
Yeah, that's who I
Um,
spoke to was Nicker.
yeah, Bruce was great. Steve Harris was great.
Yeah,
You know, so we toured a lot with them. We toured a lot with Rat. We toured a lot with Lita Ford. We
these
played a lot
bands
with
are awesome.
Motorhead, Whitesnake, um, Priest several times. You know, we played on the same shows with Priest, ZZ Top. But most of the time when we play these shows, you know, you fly in, you play your show, and you leave. So
Yeah,
you don't really get a lot of chances to meet people. You
yeah,
meet
I
them
know what you
kind of
mean.
backstage. Like, you know, like I saw David Bowie at Carnegie Hall in 1972.
Yeah,
And I remember very clearly he was doing the Ziggy Stardust album. And then at the end of the set, he did a couple of Chuck Berry songs, which I thought was a little weird because they were
yeah,
dressed the way they
I
were
the place,
dressed.
like, yeah, yeah,
And they played a couple of Chuck Berry songs. And I always wondered about that. You know, I always say to people, yeah, so they played, you know, Ziggy and Hunky Dory, and then they they ended with Chuck Berry, which is fine, but
Really?
it's very out of context, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So one day we were playing in Spain, and we were playing with Uriah Heep,
yeah,
and Uriah Heep was in the elevator coming back from the festival, and we were getting ready to leave for the festival, and I run into the bass player Trevor Bolder from Uriah Heep, who was
yeah,
David Bowie's bass player. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so I'm in the elevator with him, and I looked at him, and I went, man, I said I don't want to sound like a groupie, but you know, like in 1972. I saw you guys play with the Spiders from Mars in New York, and I saw you
Yeah.
playing, you know, bass with Bowie. And I said, true or false? You played Chuck Berry songs at the end of the set.
Yeah.
And he said, that's true. And I said, why? And he said, because we ran out of songs to
Yeah,
play.
yeah, that's just the congratulations.
And everybody
Yeah,
knows Chuck Berry songs.
so that's right.
So he
Okay.
said, you know, so Mick turned around and said, Johnny Be Good or Round and Round or
That's
whatever. And
easy.
everybody knows that's one of the first things you ever learn when you play guitar. Is you
So
learn
that's
Johnny
what he
Be Good.
said. Man,
So that was kind of cute, you know.
yeah,
I mean,
it's funny.
you know, Leslie West. Are you a fan of Leslie West at all? Do you listen to his guitar playing at all? Do you know who Mountain is? Mississippi Queen. Do you know that song?
Yes, yes,
at
I
all?
do know that song. Yeah,
So Leslie, he died recently. He's
yeah,
a great player, and and you know, I got to know Leslie. We met on several occasions, and he was very nice. One day, I was eating at a restaurant in the city, and his brother actually owned that restaurant.
man.
And it just so happened Leslie was eating
Yeah,
at that restaurant the day that I was eating at that restaurant. And
yeah.
all of a sudden, a bread roll comes flying across the restaurant and hits
Hey,
me in the
see what
head.
I did?
And I said, who's throwing a bread roll at me? And I turned around and it was Leslie. And he goes,
Yeah,
hey, my brother owns this place. I went,
yeah,
oh,
it's what I want. Man,
you know. So
yeah, these people are influenced, really.
those are those kinds of stories that people talk about.
Yeah, cheers, Jiggy. It's a pleasure to talk to you, man.
So listen, it's been great
Yeah,
talking to you, and keep up the motivational speaking business because that's what I do as well.
absolutely, and that's right. I tell you, I take some advice from you as well. That was
Yeah,
really good thing.
that is yeah, I was terrified the first time I did it. I
Yeah,
was
me
really
too. Me
terrified.
too.
You know, it may seem weird to you that I can stand in front of 20,000 people and talk like this, but when it comes to talking to a room of 100 people,
It's hard, isn't it?
it's hard.
Yeah, I know.
It's very nerve-wracking. So I had to learn how to talk to people.
But
You
it's
know,
such an
but
amazing feeling afterwards.
it's great,
Yeah,
especially knowing that you affected people's lives. You know,
exactly.
when they tell you, thank you for saying that. That's great.
It does feel amazing.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
thank you,
Well,
JJ. Thank you, man.
listen, buddy, good luck to you and your ongoing life and challenges and successes in doing that to you.
Sure,
Okay.
I keep in touch. So drop me an email and tell you how things are going.
Well, I have your email and I will. And if I ever come to Wales, I will let you know.
Absolutely, yeah. Cheers, JJ.
All right, man. You take care of yourself.
Goodbye, my friend. Bye bye.